Welcome to episode 112 of the Valley Sports Talk podcast. As always, my name is Noah and I am joined by my co-host Brandon. Brandon, how are you doing today on this lovely Wednesday evening?
Good. It's nice to be back. We missed a week, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll take blame for that. Obviously, being in the cottage, it
hmm
comes with some jobs, aka cutting wood all day. So I'll take blame for that one. But we're back. We're not skipping. We're not like ditching. Just
Yeah,
just
no, it's very hard for us to sit. We have a lot of class or
our
like
class schedule stuff
class
crazy.
or like other stuff that conflicts, so it's kind of hard to find a place to sit down. And here we are Wednesday evening at 6:30 at night, whenever we're finally free. But yeah, like you said, 2 weeks gone. Um, there has been 2 weeks of NFL games. With the last time we recorded was there was only one NFL game was already done. So now we are through 2 complete weeks. Give me your quick first thoughts about those 2 weeks.
I think the biggest headline is star player injuries.
Yeah, no
Like
kidding.
I mean, like you go from team to team, and I mean, just look at the NFC West, for example. Like they're getting decimated right now, and but you know what has shocked me honestly is honestly the teams that are still undefeated, most of them, which we're kind of going to talk about later, but like the Saints and the Bucks being 2-0, the Vikings being 2-0, the Seahawks. And then on the opposite side, teams that are 0-2, like you got the Colts and the Jags, the Bengals and the Ravens. Like you got some good teams starting off 0-2, and you got some kind of questionable teams that we didn't know what were going to happen starting 2-0. And I think um the parity in the NFL right now is really good. Like there's been a lot of close games. Like my bold take was that the Patriots were going to win a game all season, and they're 1-1 right now, and both games were close. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there hasn't really been any big blowouts, I guess, except for the Saints and the Cowboys. But um, yeah, I think the NFL's in a gotta love the first 2 weeks, other than star player injuries.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of injuries, so I know this is not the first thing you want to think of when you hear of a player injury, but a lot of teams or a lot of fantasy teams that are not doing too hot right now.
100%.
Lots of injuries, but yeah, I do agree there is a lot of surprising teams that are 2-0 and some that are 0-2, but I also want the 0-2, the teams that are like 0-2, they played both. They played like really good teams where I think
Oh, for sure.
some of the
Yeah.
teams that are 2-0 have sort of had an easy start to the schedule, and we'll sort of see who they really are and what sort of team they really are whenever they get into those games playing the better players.
It always evens out. What have you thought about some of the rookies 2 weeks in?
Rookies, I'm a bit dis not I guess not. Yeah, I am a bit disappointed in Caleb Williams. His completion percentage is not very good. He's not throwing the ball downfield much. Whenever he has targets. Jaden Daniels is already hurt. But he has looked good whenever he has been. Marvin Harrison didn't do much first game, and then he exploded the second game. Rookies honestly haven't been that bad. Like I'm not, other than Caleb Williams, I haven't been really disappointed with very many of them.
Yeah, obviously rookie wide receivers had a big week
Yeah,
too.
Malik Neighbors looks like a
Neighbors
beast.
also had like what, like 17 targets or something like
Yeah.
that. So I mean, that's great game planning, because if you're the Giants, who else are you throwing the ball to, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, you make a good point. Caleb Williams, like I kind of like to see it just because it's a division rival, but it just kind of looks like every other Bears rookie quarterback that we've seen over the last couple of years. Just the completions aren't there. There was a lot of talk about him breaking the Bears. What is it? The Bears haven't had is it 3,000 or 4,000?
4,000.
4,000 yard passer ever, and he was talking about how he wants to be the first one, and through 2 games. It does not look like
Through,
that's
through
good.
2 games, I don't even think he's thrown for over 200 yards.
No, it hasn't been great, but and then also I don't know what your thoughts are of Bo Nix. I haven't really liked what I've been seeing. Obviously, they're 2-0, and I wasn't
Oh,
expecting
and
him to
2.
explode and win. Like I'm not saying that just because they're 0-2 means he's been bad, but just from what I've seen, um, there's been a lot of mishaps over there.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the first game he actually looked okay, but last game you sort of saw some of those rookie mistakes that he shouldn't or that you'd expect, but hopeful not to see. But yeah, I totally agree. I have been a bit, and we also haven't oh my God, haven't seen much of Drake May, since Jacoby Brissett's been the starter there
He's
mainly.
been all right. Then he's
Yeah,
played all right.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a good start to the NFL season. Obviously, it's just nice to have football back. So we'll see how it keeps going. I expect some of the 2-0 teams to fall apart, and I expect some of the 0-2 teams to kind of start climbing out of that hole. But we shall see.
Some more big news, I guess, before other than injuries and starts is Bryce Young has already been benched after 2 weeks.
Mhm. Right after the
However,
coach said he's our starting quarterback.
yeah, however, the Panthers have already said that they aren't trading him. So what are your thoughts behind this? Just sort of getting him out of the spotlight for a minute, making him sort of take a game off, take a deep breath, and then get him back out there?
My thoughts are the Panthers are going to be a lot better. I think the Panthers offensive pieces actually, in my opinion, aren't terrible. Like you got Adam Thielen, who's old but a vet. You got Deontay Johnson, and you got Xavier Legette. And then your running back game isn't bad either. So I think Andy Dalton being experienced and knowing how to throw the rock around without making mistakes, I actually think the Panthers will be a better team with this switch just because I just I haven't seen Bryce Young play a good game in his NFL career yet. I'm
No.
still waiting.
Mhm.
So we'll see how that goes. But I think the no pressure and consistent part of Andy Dalton will actually help the Panthers offense. And their first game was against the Raiders, and I actually think they have a good chance at winning this game with Andy Dalton in the quarterback situation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Bryce Young, maybe if by the end of the year, if they still do bad and he ends up being the start again, if they do explore a trade, but because you look at like two guys that have sort of flourished or began to flourish since leaving Carolina. Sam Darnold looks like a different quarterback with the 2-0 Vikings, and Baker Mayfield looks like a completely different quarterback after he left the Panthers. So
100%.
it'd be interesting to see if Bryce Young does eventually leave the Panthers sometime in his NFL career, if all of a sudden he just blows up and turns into an actual good quarterback, actually the number one overall pick like he was last year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll have to see, but I do think it is a mandatory changes. They have 13 points through 2 games, so
hmm
not going to win games scoring 6.5 points on average.
No, before we get into your idea of ranking the divisions, let's talk about hockey. The other day, Sidney Crosby signed a 2-year extension, which brings him for 3 more years, signed in Pittsburgh. Surprise, surprise, he takes a team-friendly deal and takes the old 8.7 mil AAV. What are your thoughts, opinion?
Yeah, I'll kind of go into it quick because obviously it's your favorite team. You kind of want to do the bulk of it, but that just screams to me Stanley Cup, right? Like this guy has played his entire career with the Penguins. I mean, I think the best Penguin of all time. You could say second. He's one or two right behind Mario, regardless of which one you want to put him at. So he could have asked for the highest paid NHL player in the league, and Pittsburgh isn't going to say no to that, right? So he has all the leverage in the world, and he still asked for 8.7, which ironically is his number, but that's what he's been at his whole career. It's the number feels comfortable with. It's a number he knows he'll be financially set up for life after hockey. And this team is just going to have like an extra 5 mil in cap space that he should have been that not should have but could have been taking. So to me that screams Sid wants another cup run before he's done. Obviously he does, but that really puts it into perspective. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm also I've been saying it a lot that if you're Kyle Dubas, give him a blank check and say
Come on, Dubas.
put this number down and whatever you want, you got it. But this just shows like the type of player that or person and player that Crosby is. He's not gonna screw over this team. And he even said it in his thing. He said, why are you taking 8.7? He goes, well, I want to leave the team with as much cap flexibility as possible while I'm still here so they can build a team around me. Like that's literally what he said. Not word for word, obviously, but the right same idea. In his sort of press conference, it was actually kind of funny. The day he signed his contract was the day that the Penguins go out and like deliver their season tickets like in person.
Yeah.
So obviously since the news came out like an hour before they did that, a lot of reporters and stuff that were following around asked that question. And yeah, it just sort of shows, like you said, Crosby values winning, and he doesn't value, being the highest paid player. Like he easily could have probably gotten what Draisaitl got this year. And it
100%.
would have been worth it. I still would have been like, no, it's not overpaid. It's 100% worth it to what he means to Pittsburgh and what he means to that franchise. But the fact that he still is out here taking 8.7, it's funny. He's got 19. This will be his 19th season now with a cap hit of 8.7 mil.
That's crazy with today's inflation of cap space.
Yeah, it's very crazy. So it just gives like you said, the Penguins five, 4.5 to 5, maybe even up to 6 mil, more of flexibility to bring in. And I honestly, I know he's 37, he keeps getting older, but I don't see him slowing down. Like I feel like he's just one of those players that just gets better with age. And yeah, the Penguins sort of have these 3 years to try to get back into the playoffs. And I was listening to the Spit and Chicklets, but I honestly think that Crosby's meant has a different mentality coming into this league. He's all or this year. He's for I think for like the 19 years he's been here, or the last 18 seasons, they've always been looked at as like a playoff contender, a Stanley Cup contender, where this is the first year I think a lot of people are like counting them out. So I honestly think it might spark Crosby and the Penguins to sort of fight that off, and or to sort of go against that, sort of saying that these guys are in a soft rebuild. They're gonna be a bad team this year, and I would not be surprised if Pittsburgh comes out guns blazing this year.
No, it's a great point. Like this is definitely, you could argue last year was a bit of like people started to give up on Pittsburgh, but definitely this year you see it a lot. Like people aren't giving Pittsburgh a chance. A lot of people, anyways.
And I know it wasn't flashy, but I actually think Pittsburgh had a good offseason. I think Dubas did really well, sort of finding guys like Cody Glass, like Blake Lizotte, these guys that are like 25, 26, on cheap prove it deals, who if they're coming into this camp hungry because their other teams didn't want them.
For sure. Yeah, and even though Dubas has made some good moves this offseason, I do think this contract almost puts pressure on Kyle Dubas. It's like here, I'm gonna take less money, which is gonna make your job harder because now I expect a good team. Where if Crosby would have taken the amount people probably guessed he would have taken, then they would have had no cap space, no moves to be made. Easy job, right? But now there's some cap space that can be kind of played with, and the pressure's on Dubas. And so I'm kind of interested to see what he does because personally, um, even though yes, Dubas has had some good moves in Pittsburgh, there was only like one, maybe two moves in Toronto where I was like, okay, Dubas was the loser in that acquisition or that trade or whatever. Where Pittsburgh, there's been a couple iffy contracts. Like I feel like his first year, he signed some contracts I'm not a huge fan of to try and stay competitive for Sid. Like the Ryan Graves contract, I'm not a huge fan of,
Oh,
and
me neither, don't worry.
I know you're not, but so now I'm interested to see what Kyle Dubas does because he needs to start pulling some strings and making some stuff happen for this team.
Yep, for sure. So getting back to our
Whoa,
football
whoa,
talk.
whoa. You're gonna
Oh,
miss the biggest hockey news of the day. Nick Foligno named Chicago
oh,
Hawks
yeah.
cap.
That was
I'm
this morning,
shocked.
right?
I'm shocked. Because
Um, I can't say I'm shocked, but I would like to say I'm shocked, but I also understand it.
well, I
Um,
understand it. I'm just shocked because this is the year Connor McDavid got his captaincy, right?
yeah, which I mean, sure, could
Well,
you say
Bedard's gonna be the next captain.
100%? Foligno's gonna wear the C for 2 to 3 years, and he's gonna retire, and then it's gonna go to Bedard. We all know what's happening. So at the same time, it does make sense. Like Nick Foligno has been a captain,
Oh, for sure.
with Columbus. So I have honestly don't hate it. I have no issues with Nick Foligno being named the captain. Figure out a way to. I feel like having a young team like that. Even though McDavid was named captain at the same age, I feel like having Foligno be the voice in that room is honestly a better situation for Bedard, because there's not as much pressure on Bedard in this situation to be the generational player he's been talked about, and also be the youngest captain in NHL history and in the Blackhawks history. So I actually don't have any issues, because it keeps not Bedard out of the spotlight, but out of sort of the double spotlight for being captain and a generational prospect player.
No, I have the exact same mindset you do. I'm just shocked because I figured Bedard would be
I
captain.
figured too. I honestly wouldn't have. I keep saying I would have been shocked, but I wouldn't have been shocked if they went this year without another C and then next year.
That's
But
kind of what I was assuming. But
but
I love this because for all the reasons you said, Nick Foligno's been a leader on multiple teams. He obviously has a big voice in this locker room. He shows by not just his voice but his play out there. Like you're not touching Connor Bedard without hearing from Nick Foligno, right? So
yeah,
I think this is a really good move for Chicago to start putting them in the right direction. I think Nick Foligno will really help that culture. Maybe not so much putting up points anymore, but
no,
just
but
showing
that's not
that
what he's there for.
exactly. He's going to show that other teams and the Chicago Blackhawks themselves that, hey, we're not going to get messed around with. We might not win a whole bunch of games this year, but we're not going to be a walk in the park to come play against. You're going to have to work for it.
For
So
sure.
I like it.
For sure. All right, now can we get back to football?
I guess so.
Okay.
I just
I explain to me how you want to do this.
1 through 8. We got 8 divisions.
We're literally just going what we think the weakest division is.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think is the weakest division? Do you want to go bottom to top?
Yeah, we can go bottom to top.
Okay, sounds good. Um, I can start, I guess. Personally, I think the weakest division in football through 2 weeks is the AFC South,
That was, yeah,
meaning
me
the
too.
Texans, the
Me too.
Titans, the Jags, the Colts. We all knew the Titans weren't going to be great. We all knew the Texans were going to be good. But I thought the Jags and the Colts were going to take steps this year, and they're both not showing that to start the
One
season.
sec, Brandon. Someone's here.
That's okay. I'll just keep going. The thing that's gotten me the most confused is that the Jags and the Colts are supposed to have good offenses, and they've shown that they've had good offenses in the past. Like Trevor Lawrence, when he was healthy at the start of last season, the Jags offense looked really good. Anthony Richardson at the start, even though it was only a couple games, Anthony Richardson made the Colts offense look really good at the start. And the Jags and the Colts offense have both been very underwhelming to start the season, especially like I just witnessed the Colts because they played the Packers and the Packers were starting Malik Willis and they only put up 10 points and like that last touchdown was with like a minute left in the fourth, so it really didn't matter. Like the Colts offense couldn't get anything going. So I'm kind of shocked that both these offenses have been slow considering last year when both these quarterbacks were healthy, we saw these teams have good offenses.
Yep. Sorry, my our tenants here.
That'll happen. Hey, Drew.
Um, I agree. The AFC South is the weakest. Did you go past that?
No, I was just talking about how bad the Jags and Colts offenses have been.
Yeah, no, I agree. I expected a bigger jump sort of from Anthony Richardson. Um,
For the name.
I expected a lot more from him there. Did you hear that?
No,
You're talking about how clean the house is because I cleaned the house because I knew she was coming today.
that's a good man.
Cleaned the house about an hour ago. Yeah, and Will Levis has looked terrible. And the Jags just have not been a very good team to start this year. I actually dropped Trevor Lawrence in my one of my other fantasy leagues because I
Yeah.
was like, I picked up Derek Carr, which I was not expecting to do this early in the year.
No,
Um, moving, do you want me to go second weakest
sure,
then?
sure.
My second weakest is going to be the NFC West, just because I don't think the Cardinals are as good as they are. I know you're decently, or not decently, but higher than they are on me. I don't think the Seahawks are a 2-0 team. 49ers, I think, are by far the best team, and the Rams haven't looked good, and they don't have Puka or Cooper Kupp now, and they're both Puka's already on IR, and I'm expecting Kupp to go on IR sometime soon. So this Rams team is not looking like they're in a good spot. So I think the NFC West is the second weakest division.
I'm actually going to go stay in the AFC. I'm going to go the AFC West. I know obviously it has the Chiefs, which is the big kicker, but the Raiders, even though they had a really good game against Baltimore, I'm not convinced because the offense didn't look too good week one. Yeah, they had a good comeback against Baltimore, but I don't expect that to happen all the time. The defense of the Raiders is kind of the carrying factor there. And then the Broncos, from what we've seen through 2 weeks, they're not going to be putting up much points. I don't think they're going to find much success this season. And the Chargers, although I do think they're a playoff team, I think they're kind of like a fake start. They're 48 points for, 13 against, which looks really good on paper, and they're 2-0, but they've played the Titans and the Panthers. So I think it's kind of a not a fake 2-0 start, but kind of a fake 2-0 start. So I think the Chiefs really carries this division, but other than that, I don't think it's got a whole lot going on. I think the Chargers will kind of flatten back out to, I think they'll finish around the 9-8 mark. So,
Yeah,
and the
The West
Broncos
AFC
are,
West was my sixth.
yeah,
So
fair enough.
um
I think the NFC West was my sixth, so we kind of just flopped there.
so yeah, yeah. So now we're at fifth. My fifth is gonna be I can't believe I have the NFC South so high, but I'm gonna say that the NFC East is my fifth weakest division, which is the one with the Cowboys and the Eagles.
I agree.
Giants look terrible.
I agree.
No, other than Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones looks terrible. I don't think the Commanders are as good as they are. Mainly because the only
Currently
team,
leading the division.
like I know it's crazy, currently in the division, but the one team they beat was the Giants, and they only beat them by 3 points. I do like Jaden Daniels a lot, but this team just isn't where they are or where they're going to be right now. And obviously, we're 2 weeks into the season, so yeah,
Did you hear about the record the Giants set?
yeah. I don't even know
Pretty
what it is though.
pretty impressive. They were the first team to score at least three touchdowns and not allow a touchdown and still
Still
lose.
lose. Yeah, looking at it right now, the Washington Commanders have the second worst point differential in the East. So obviously their record is not how it is, or
Yeah.
not as good as it is.
Yep. No, I have the NFC East too. Like, I think the Giants and the Commanders aren't great. Obviously, the Eagles losing AJ Brown, we just saw kind of what they play like when they don't have their star guy. Like they just lost to the Falcons, who are a good team in their own,
Yep.
but they did have a sizable lead. Like you expect them to hold on to something like that. I think what the Falcons come back from 10 or something.
Yeah, about that. Maybe 8.
In Philly, you expect them to hold that, right? So, um, yeah, I think until AJ Brown comes back, they're not going to be the same. And the Cowboys, I mean that game against um the Saints scares me, especially because the Cowboys' next game is against the Ravens, who are 0-2. So the Ravens are really going to need this game. You can't go down 0-3 and expect to make a playoff spot in the NFL. So you're going to see a scary Baltimore Ravens team. So the Cowboys might be in trouble to start the year.
Yeah, so what are we at? We're at third, 3 now?
Four.
4. So my fourth is gonna be the AFC East. It wasn't gonna be the AFC East until the Tua injury. They would be higher. But right now, I don't think the Patriots are a good team, obviously, even though they did, which I called upset the Bengals week one. They did only lose to the Seattle Seahawks in overtime. The Jets are going to be an iffy team. They'll be like one of those teams that either makes the playoffs barely or is like around the cusp. I'm still not high on the Bills. Don't ask me why, but I'm still not. They were I know they beat Miami, but I mean, they didn't have Tua for half that game. If Tua's there for half the game, I think it's a closer than 31-8. And the fact that they didn't score after Tua left, um, I don't know, just Tua left with like 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Um, so yeah, I don't think the AFC, I think they're still a good division. I think the Dolphins are good. They just don't have a quarterback now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go actually to the NFC North.
Okay.
Just from what I've seen from the Bears, it's like their defense is gonna have to hold because it doesn't look like Williams can get much offense. They have 37 points through two games, and there's been a defensive score, a special team score. Like their offense hasn't put up much of that 37. So I'm going to see a lot more from this offense. Obviously, the Packers don't have, I mean, Jordan Love could play, but I doubt he'll play this Sunday. The
He
initial timeline,
practiced today.
I know, but the initial timeline was 4 to 6 weeks. I actually hope he doesn't play because
It wouldn't, doesn't seem very smart to me.
no, me neither. There's no point in rushing. You got a really good team. You're playing the Titans, who it's a revenge game for Malik Willis. Like I think you can win that without Love anyways.
Yeah, I agree.
It could be smarter for him to sit. Plus, I don't think the Vikings are a legit 2-0 team. I think they might be like a sneaky, could be sneaky, but I don't think like they're going to keep up to the 51 points for 23 against streak that they got going right now. And then the Lions, they've been good so far. Obviously they're 1-1. They lost a close game, but the Lions is definitely the big strong suit in this division right now, keeping it afloat. So I'm gonna give the NFC North a 4.
Yeah, my third. I didn't think, like, even now, I'm still crazy that the NFC South is going to be
I
in my
still
top
haven't
two.
I haven't picked them yet.
But my third is going to be the North as well. You just said
My
all of them.
third is the East, so we're flopping again.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Green Bay is obviously in a bit of a weird spot. Chicago can't throw the ball downfield, but they somehow still got to win. I think Detroit just had an off game against the Bucks. I still have the Detroit Lions as like a top three, four team in the NFL.
Yep.
Um, and the Vikings, excuse me, Vikings are 2-0. Like I said, I think they are a bit of a funky 2-0, but the fact that all of these teams at least have a win, I mean, I feel like that for that reason you got to have them in your top three.
Well, geez, don't have to come at me that hard, okay? Um, my two, I will go with the NFC South.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead and talk for me.
That's your division. Go ahead. I'm just gonna say that like the
Shockingly, they're my
Falcons are
number
one and
two.
one, but have played like obviously it's Kirk's first game, so you kind of throw that one out of the water. They just played a good team, beat them. Even if they didn't, like it was a close game. So, that's a good sign.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
Panthers definitely bring this division down, but what a start for the Bucks and the Saints.
Agreed.
But yeah, it's your division, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, the fact that the Falcons have only given up three touchdowns total through two games is pretty good. Their defense has been exactly what we expected it. Their offense has had its moments. Bijan's looked great to start the year. Kirk Cousins is a bit obviously. I think we almost expect this. I don't. It came out that he's not 100%, and I 100% agree. I don't think he's 100%. But I think he still gives you the best chance to win. I mean, we saw exactly what Kirk Cousins can do in that last minute 34 of the game against the Eagles. Like that looked like the Kirk Cousin of old. Getting the ball out quick, getting his receivers open. But yeah, I don't know. The Bucks, I agree the Bucks, I thought the Bucks were gonna be the team that the Falcons fought with for the division title. Saints kind of shocking me. The
Yep.
fact that they've put up 49 and 44 in two games is very, I guess, confusing.
Alvin Kamara looks like he's 24.
Alvin
Like
Kamara looks like he was like 3 years ago.
Alvin Kamara's like
Crazy.
probably favorite for offensive player of the year right now.
100%. So yeah, I guess both of our ones are still the AFC North, eh?
Which is crazy because it's got two
Two
teams
teams
that
are
are 0
0
and
and
2.
2.
But if I were to ask you who would be what two teams from this division would be 0 and 2 after 2 weeks, you
Would
would
not have said either of those.
yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have said the Bengals, you wouldn't have said the
I know
Ravens.
they both played the Chiefs, but I mean, I expect them to at least be 1-1.
Both games against the Chiefs were a one-score game for both those
Yeah,
teams. Too. The Bengals had a really shaky first game against the Patriots. You do expect that win, but the first week of the season is always so strange. So I kind of throw that one out, and then they lost to the Chiefs by 1 point on a Patrick Mahomes a field goal drive at the end of
weird
the
flag.
and
Sus
then
flag.
yeah, well, we won't get into that. And then Isaiah Likely's foot just being half a size too big, right? So and then that game goes well, I guess they go for two, and you never know how that one works out. But the
Yeah.
Steelers, even though they have played pretty easy teams, I have kind of liked the way their offense is. I'm not gonna say two easy teams that played the Falcons, but
Yeah, what are you doing?
it was Kirk's first game, so I'm like I could see how that
I'll give
happened.
you that one.
Um, I like how their offense is working. I know they don't have any like it's not filled with all stars all over the place, but Justin Fields, I kind of like the way Justin Fields fits in this offense. If he doesn't have somebody to throw to, he can just run it out. Um, I think they play slow, which I think is good for them considering they have one of the best defenses in the league. They've only allowed 16 points through two games, which I think is the least in the NFL. Never mind the Chargers are at 13, but um, so they're second. I do like the Steelers. I think they're going to kind of come back down to earth a little bit, but I still think they can be a sneaky final playoff team. And then the Browns, I don't like the Browns. I know they've been in two close games, but Deshaun looks terrible. I really don't like the Browns. And then the Bengals and Ravens, you expect these two teams to kind of come back up. So once T. Higgins comes back, they'll start producing again. And the Ravens, they've played two really competitive games. I expect them to come out and beat the Cowboys this week because they need it, and I think that'll start their run.
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing left. You got anything left you want to talk about?
How much time we got left?
8 minutes, but I got
I can come up with something. We're gonna play. You have to guess NFL players, and I'll give you like a scale of like I'll give you a number based out of 100, and you have to kind
oh,
of
they're
come.
they're talking about you out there.
They're talking about me. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I didn't hear you. I heard your name. I can't hear what though.
I'm gonna pick a tough one. Okay, go ahead.
Wait, what am I guessing?
Guessing NFL players, and I'm going to give you a scale on like
Like
how.
yes or no?
No, like I have a player in mind, and you have to get to him.
AFC.
Name players, not that.
Oh,
Name
jeez.
player. Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. I'll give you like a 75.
Lamar Jackson.
I'll give you like a 60.
Okay, I'm still getting high for quarterback. Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, you get a 60.
Can I use my phone to look at like divisions?
You can, I
Okay,
guess.
I'm gonna do that.
I have them right in front of me if you're looking for something.
Um, Justin Herbert.
I'll give you a 76. One higher than
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew. Ding, ding, ding. It's Gardner Minshew. I love Gardner Minshew, man. I don't know what it is about him, but he's
He's so
just,
bad, it's good.
I love him. I think he's great. I think he's a
Okay,
low.
I'm gonna do the same with you.
Okay.
Let me get a player first because I haven't
It
thought
was
of one.
supposed to be a hard one, but you guessed Patty Mahomes right off the bat. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
then I guess I thought you were doing like a good quarterback, and then when I said Lamar, it went down. It's like okay, it's gotta be division, so I went
mm.
Herbert.
Yeah, that was a good first guess for sure. Not fair. Don't
I
give me defensive.
you went sort of hard, so I'm gonna go somewhat hard.
Okay, but make sure it's offensive.
It's offensive.
Okay. Evan Ingram.
That's no more than like
Couldn't be farther away.
15%.
Okay. Okay, maybe we're still in the NFC, AFC. Ramondre Stevenson.
40%.
Ooh, we're getting lower. Okay.
No, you went from 15 to 40.
Oh, it's 15? Okay. I'm gonna go other division then. I'm gonna go to the NFC. Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, like 5%.
God damn. Um, Kyle Pitts.
5%.
Wow, I'm off. Jared Goff.
Yeah, like 2%.
Okay. What was my highest? My okay,
Your highest was Ramondre at a 40%.
yeah, I will say Alan Lazard.
He plays for the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a 30%.
Damn, I am so off. Amari Cooper.
55%.
Okay, so that's the highest we've gotten so far. Um, it can't. Deshaun Watson.
What'd I say for Amari? 55? Yeah, like maybe 56, 57-ish percent. So you gained a percentage.
Maybe I'm in the right division. Let's go. Pat Fryermuth.
Like
Fryermuth.
80%.
Oh, okay. David Njoku.
Like 70%.
Okay. Um. Oh, Isaiah Likely.
Nah, like the same range, like 65-ish percent.
I'm sticking with the Steelers right now. Um, Jalen Warren.
Like 95%.
Did I guess the wrong one? Is it Najee?
It's Najee.
Oh, I guess the wrong one. That's not fair.
I gave you a 40% because there's four divisions in the AFC and you guessed a running back on one of the divisions, teams in the divisions.
Fair
And then you
enough.
went to the NFC. I'm like, ah, well, he's in like the 10%.
Yeah, 5%. I struggled. You did well. I struggled.
I think I just got lucky guessing Patty Mahomes first. I was
Oh,
like, I definitely thought I had one of those feelings you were gonna pick a quarterback. So,
yeah, well, I'm nicer.
all right, well, we can end it off there with a little fun. If you guys
Yep.
enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and to never miss a new episode. And keep your eye. I don't know, we haven't talked about it much, but the Valley Sports Talk hockey registration is on its way eventually.
It's definitely going to happen early October.
Coming soon, so keep an eye out. But yeah, we will see you next week.
See ya.